Hello, everyone. Today is Maundy, Thursday during Holy Week. We are discussing how it is observed. As you can see in the background, I've got it kind of quiet and a little bit darker than normal. And it's just a sombering time on this Thursday before Good Friday and Easter. Many Christians observe Maundy, Thursday. This day commemorates Jesus' Last Supper with his disciples. During that meal in the upper room, Jesus washed his disciples' feet and gave them a new commandment. Just as I have loved you, you also should love one another. John 13:34. The word Maundy comes from the Latin mandatum, M-A-N-D-A-T-U-M, meaning command. In commemoration of the Last Supper, Christians often partake in a simple meal of bread and wine, commonly known as the Lord's Supper or Communion. During Maundy Thursday worship services, other traditions include a Seder supper, a Tenebrae service, and a stripping of the sanctuary. What is the meaning of the Last Supper? Then he took a loaf of bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it, and he gave it to them, saying, "This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." And he did the same with the cup after supper, saying, "This cup that is poured out for you is the new covenant in my blood." Luke 22:19. In the words that accompany the breaking of bread and the pouring of the cup, Jesus makes it clear that his sacrifice and death is for our redemption. As he invited his disciples to partake in the Last Supper, he invites us also to a meal of faith shared among believers. By eating and drinking the Lord's Supper together, we are reminded that Jesus wants us to love each other and to forgive each other. That is the command that's represented in the word Maundy. Through Jesus' charge to do this in remembrance of me, the Last Supper became the inaugural the Lord's Supper. In this meal, also known as communion, Reformed theology holds to beliefs that the bread and the wine are not changed into an actual body and blood of Christ, but rather these elements are a reminder and a promise of God's love for us. So the simple meal is a symbolic teaching that Jesus' crucified body and shed blood spiritually feeds us through the working of the Holy Spirit. As we share this meal, we share in the death and the resurrection of Christ. This means that we accept with a believing heart that his body was offered for us and his blood was shed for us, granting us forgiveness and new life. As we remember the depths of Jesus' suffering for us, the meal takes on a sadness and a somberness. Yet we remember that Jesus rose from the dead and he will come again. Thus, this is a meal to be celebrated and with much joy. How is this Maundy service on certain churches observed? Through worship services, but there's not a specific order to way to do it. A few most common services are rituals listed with a brief description. Communion service here would be serving communion, like many churches hold services, including the sacraments, and all those that believe in Jesus and want to partake, they do that. And then churches should take special care involving the younger at this time to pass on and explaining the significance of the symbol in this meal. The table is set for communion with a usually more of a meager stone cup and broken bread, something that's plain and simple. Also, they have what they call a Seder meal. This meal is typically eaten the first night of the Passover, the week-long Jewish spring festival that commemorates the Israelites' journey out of Egypt. Seder is Hebrew for the word order. Reflected of the numerous ritual aspects of a Seder meal, reading the story of Exodus, eating special foods, and singing hymns. Well, if you aren't familiar with this Seder meal, some churches do that, and you may have had the opportunity, to observe this Passover Seder meal. Some theologians, I'll get it out. They have different opinions of what actually the Seder is. So the Lord's Supper is each partaking of these Seder meals significant. Six ritual foods are positioned on a Seder plate. So you have roasted shank bone representing the sacrifice of the lamb, or fresh green vegetables, typically parsley, representing the hope and the renewal of spring. These are to be dipped in salt water. Marrow, or bitter herbs, typically horseradish, representing the bitterness of slavery. Another form of bitter herbs typically could be romaine lettuce, and apple and nuts paste, representing the mortar used by Israelite slaves in Egypt, and then an egg representing spring and the renewal of the addition. So on the table, we have unleavened bread, and the Israelites would take that during the flight to Egypt, salt water, which represents the tears of the Israelite slaves. Learn more about this Seder. Learn more about these meals that we celebrate this Holy Week with. And you guys, I hope that y'all are enjoying just these little teachings and just the significance of just letting it be brought to light what's going on during this Holy Week. I hope this has blessed you as much as it's blessed me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.